Hello, everyone. It is yours truly, Dr. Shamika Dean. Y'all come on in the room. If you're a first timer, welcome. If you are a replay watcher, welcome back. And thank you so much for your continued support. Um, and joining me every time I go live to talk about something. Okay. As you're tuning in, y'all know what to do. Comment in the chat box and let me know where you are tuning in from. Let's see. Hey, Miss Alexander, how are you? I cannot pronounce that. Azijia Mystique Alexander. Hey, Tanika from Chicago. Y'all come on in. Welcome. How are you? So yeah, just comment. Let me know. Let me know where you're tuning in from. What part of the world did you decide to say, let me stop what I'm doing and get on here and see what Dr. Dean is talking about? Hey, Anna. Hello, Kamisha from Little Rock, Arkansas. Hey, Ayana from the A. You better rep your city. Rep your city. No, don't. No. I was having a moment. Okay? I was having a moment. Awesome. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sharing real quick from my other page. So give me just a second. All right, from Hattiesburg, the SIP. Okay. Hey, Antoinette from Virginia. Y'all tuned in. Are y'all ready for this? Because this is going to be good. You better do it. So I always want to try to give a little bit of a disclaimer, especially, even when I'm teaching marketing, I, believe in extracting thine own edges. But when I come in this fashion, amen, it is going to be one of those moments where it's going to be some real hard truth. But my goal is always to educate, not attack, to teach you truth that transforms your thinking and then transforms your life. So, hey, Kanisha from Texas. So what I'm talking about, hey, from Nigeria. Hey, we international today. No, but today's topic is one that I had been wanting to talk about for quite some time. I was actually going to do a clubhouse room last year, but I decided not to. But today is the day that I'm going to have this conversation. So what we're talking about today is, how do you navigate success, right? When it's causing strife with your spouse. I know that many of you have seen or you've known of stories where one or the other begins to get a level of influence or success, whether that influence is in ministry, in the marketplace, what have you, or even when they get another level of success, they're making more money, things begin to change, right? And so you probably know some people who you saw a rift happen, right? Some survive, some don't. Some get on rocky ground, but they find themselves able to handle the change, right? And then there's some that they're unable to handle the change. And so what I know is that I've taken over 4,000 people through my coaches. It's over 4,000 in 3 years. And I've coached, I have a roster of 6 and 7 figure business owners. Most of them are women. And I've had, some that were just starting out in business and they had begun to experience some success, and that success started to shake some things up. I do not see a lot of coaches or programs that offer guidance on how to navigate through this path when you are building your business and you're having that success and you have a spouse that just simply may not be on the same level, or they don't understand, right, what it is you're called to do. And so what I notice is one or two things end up, one of three things happen, right? So there either becomes a separation, right? There either becomes a separation. Number two, there is sabotage for the sake of saving the marriage, or they find a way to be successful in the marriage while also having success as an individual. Okay, so again, when this happens, one or three things happen. There's separation, there is one who begins to sabotage or self-sabotage for the sake of saving their marriage, or there is a coming together and understanding, a growth where you find out how to navigate this journey of success while being successfully married, as well as being success as an individual and in your career path or whatever it is you're calling it, you're doing, right? I've seen a lot of women that will begin to shrink back, play it safe, play small. A lot of women are, women. I know women. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen to me, and I'm just talking about the experience that I've had. That they are suffocating and suffering silently because on the outside things look amazing, but that is simply because they have learned how to perfect the posture of pretend. Somebody type that in the comments. They've learned how to perfect the posture of pretend. And I want to talk about perfecting the posture of pretend for a little bit before I get into the rest of the content that I'm going to cover today. Now, when I say perfecting the posture of pretend, what I mean is that they have learned how to go through the motions of being married and not really truly having intimacy in their marriage, not truly being fulfilled in their marriage. I'm not going to say happy. And the reason I'm not going to say happy, because happiness is an inside job, right? So your spouse can't make you happy. It's not their job to make you happy. That's an inside job. But there is a level of fulfillment that you have or can have or should have within your marriage. And however, there are many that have perfected the posture of pretend so until they know how to turn it on, turn it off. But they are truly suffering silently in their marriages because of the elephant in the room. Right. And the elephant in the room are the things that are oftentimes swept under the rug for the sake of keeping the peace. How many of y'all have been taught I'm just going to say as a woman, because this is not a bashing man session. I'm just talking from a woman's perspective because I am a woman. But how many of you women have been taught, to just do what's necessary to keep the peace for the sake of keeping the peace in your home? Right. And so you're taught not to be a nagging wife because, there's scripture that talks about a man would rather live on the rooftop, right, than to be in the home with a nagging wife. And so when this is incorrectly taught, what happens is a lot of times the woman will perfect the posture of pretend. So she'll do whatever is necessary to keep the peace in home, but she's not ever really open and honest about how she's truly feeling and what she really needs, because she doesn't want to come off as a nagging wife. Okay. Are y'all still with me? Because it's going to get gooder and gooder. And so I've seen it a lot, and I've seen, especially in, the Christian community, where women, they'll wonder why would you wait 20, 30 years to walk away from a marriage, right? First of all, because we've been taught patience, right? We've been taught to wait a thing out, right? We have the tenacity, right, to hold on to hope and to wait a thing out. And so oftentimes it will take a woman a longer time to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and go on. As I heard a quote, and the quote said, women marry men hoping that they will change, and men marry women hoping that they will stay the same. And so that quote just made me think about how how women will kind of hold on and have that hope and not be so quick to like give up because we believe in the potential, right? We believe in just the potential. So that's that on that. But I want to talk about how you get to this in the first place, right? Because what I realized is that, because I'm telling you, I've seen it happen at such a rapid rate. I've seen many marriages come to an end, many marriages just end in demise. And I'm just like, what is going on? They were really great together, XYZ. And then, from the outside looking in, it's always, oh, well, he got this job and now he thinks he can do better, or she's got this job and now she wants to be the head of the household. So there are so many things that can be said from the outside looking in. But I really wanted God to just kind of just give me revelation, insight of what is really taking place and why we see this pattern that seems to be a cycle, like a continuous cycle. And so first things first is a lot of times you married before you knew your identity. Now, for those who don't know, I used to be a relationship coach. So when I first started out in the coaching space, I was actually a relationship coach. And I would, take women through the process of, through my book called Positioning Yourself to Be a Wife, the ultimate guide. I'm sorry, y'all. The ultimate guide to your first and only marriage. And so I had actually a 6-week program, and then I would take people through this program, women through this program. And basically it was really a path of deliverance, right? A path of healing and wholeness. And what I found is that a lot of women wanted to be married because they didn't know who they were. So they were seeking to find identity in their marriage, because identity gives a sense of validation, a sense of understanding. It gives you confidence. It gives you clarity. When you know who you are, you move and you operate differently, right? And so what I was noticing is that women were wanting to jump into marriage because they wanted that identity. They wanted to be identified as something or someone valuable enough to have someone to, give them their last name. And what I also noticed is then their marriage became their idol. And so they began to idolize marriage so much so until there was no true intimacy in the marriage, because there was no honesty in the marriage. Why? Because they idolized the idea of marriage and they found their identity in their husbands. And because of that, they would rather perfect the posture of pretend and not do the work that needs to be done within the marriage, right? So that they can truly have a marriage that is healthy, that is whole, right? A marriage that, yes, there are issues, there are problems. However, you're able to navigate through them, right? Do you have courses to become a relationship coach? I do not have courses to become a relationship coach, but I do have a mastermind that teaches you how to become a coach and build a 6-figure coaching business. But anywho, let me get back to my topic. Sorry, y'all. But again, so I was asking God, how does this happen? Like, what is this pattern? What's going on here? And he said, many marry before they even know their identity. And a part of knowing your identity is a part of what makes you whole, right? And so when you don't know who you are, you'll connect to someone who doesn't know who you are and who doesn't really understand the value. And because you don't know who you are, you can become whoever they think you are or whoever they say you should be, right? And so as you begin to grow and evolve on your own personal journey of evolution within, on your own journey of evolution, you begin to identify who you are. And so when you don't know who you are, it's easy for you to attach to someone who doesn't know who you are. And so to them, of course, you're becoming a completely different person. And so what happens in the marriage is, because you're now changing and becoming who you actually always were. But at this point in time, you're no longer perfecting the posture of pretend. Your spouse is looking like, who is this person? This is not my wife. This is not my husband. I don't know this person, right? So they feel like there's a whole stranger in their house. And the reality is there is a stranger in the house because you're now becoming who you truly were intent who you were created to be from the very beginning. But when you got married, you didn't know that. So now you look different, you sound different, right? And it's scary because you have to think about it like this. When let's just say you go into business with someone, right? And y'all sign a contract. Y'all sign a contract based on certain things. There are certain agreements within this contract, certain roles and responsibilities you're supposed to take as a part of the contract, right? And so you just all of a sudden you just start changing. You come in here and you start doing things differently. You've been doing something one way 10, 15 years, but you were doing it that way because you were just trying to appease your spouse. You were just trying to keep the peace in your house, right? And you were doing what you thought was going to keep your marriage from ending in divorce. But when you start to evolve, you start to becoming who you really are. But to the person that you originally came into agreement with and you signed a contract with, they're like, hold on, you breaking the contract. You coming outside of the confines of the contract. What's going on? What you doing? What you doing? I don't know this, right? So it creates trust barriers. It begins to make them feel that they don't know who you are, so they don't know if they can trust you anymore. Are y'all still with me? Okay, Tanisha says, I feel like this is happening to me now. And Tanya says, that's good. Right. So thank y'all. Yeah, keep commenting. I'm teaching, but I still want you all to engage. But again, that's what it looks like to your spouse on the other side, is that we had an original agreement, right? And now you're changing this agreement without my consent. So now in their mind, who are you? I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know who this person is because this is not who I signed the contract with. And this is not the original agreement that we made. Okay. So that's number one. The other thing is that your evolution came without inclusion. I'm going to help about 20 of y'all today if you let me. Okay. Your evolution came without inclusion. What do I mean? You got this, you became enlightened, you became empowered, right? You became inspired, and you really had this awakening, this aha moment that I have not been who I am my entire life, but now I'm finding who I am and I love it. Who am I talking to? Right? So you're like, oh my God, I really do love this. I actually don't like that at all. Oh my God, this makes me happy. This makes me feel beautiful. When I do this thing, I'm the most at peace, right? And so you get so excited and you're going on your journey, right? And in your mind, you're excited, you're happy. This is the happiest you've ever been, right? You may have shed a few pounds, you may have gotten your snatch back. Come on, ladies, right? You may walk, you may have decided to spruce up your wardrobe a little bit, so you no longer walking around looking like Sister Mary Clarence, right? Now you're looking like you just stepped straight off the cover of a magazine. And then your husband over here or your wife over here, and they like, what do you think you going? What do you think you're doing? Right? But because you're so happy and so excited, it didn't include them. They had no say in it. And so they feel left out of the journey. They feel like you don't want them to be a part because you didn't include them in your evolution process. You didn't communicate to them. Oftentimes, especially as women, what we do is we'll start finding out those things about ourselves, and we'll start changing. And we feel like because we're happy, they should be happy for us. But men, when it comes to men, they were created to fulfill a need. And so when you start doing all of these things and they had nothing to do with any of it, it makes them feel like they're no longer needed, right? So again, your evolution, it came without inclusion. And so when you're going through the process yourself, you may feel like you don't need to include them. Why? Why? Why do they need to know X, Y, and Z? And it's not necessarily that they're trying to control you or they feel like, you shouldn't make a move without them. It's just that you're making moves and you're doing them so fast until it leaves them not knowing what to think. Is that clear? Is that clear? I want to make sure y'all are still with me. Because a lot of times with men, they're okay and they're comfortable. Oftentimes when men find their wife, they found the one, right? So that means that when they found you, they found everything that they thought they were looking for. And who you were when they met you, when they found you, was all that they feel like they needed. It was enough. They didn't need any extra, right? They didn't need you to take anything away. They feel like they had found the one. But when they found you, if you weren't who you were created to be, and if you didn't know who you were, they really didn't find you. They found the version of you that was the most comfortable for them. Y'all still with me? I feel like I'm preaching a little bit. Somebody need to give me an offer. I'm just saying. Pass the collection plate. Hey, Joelle. And y'all know I'm just joking. But again, that's why they say when he who finds a wife finds a good thing, right? And so when he's looking, when he finds you, if you complete him in a way that no one has ever completed him, then he's like, boom, I got it. That's my boo thing. I'm gonna go and lock this down. Clink, clink. I got it. I found it. I'm solid. I'm secure right here. Right. But again, when you don't know who you are, there's still a part of you that needs to evolve and to grow into exactly who you were created to be. And that person was going to look extremely different. And then what happens if there were any insecurities that he had, those insecurities will now increase because he feels there's a part that feels like, man, I'm losing control of something that I once had control over. What once made me complete is now different. It doesn't feel the same. So it's not fitting the same, right? And so that's when it begins to cause that rift. Now, I want to be very clear when I say this. You can't heal insecurities or hold yourself responsible for them. But if you have become one with them, you do have a level of accountability to communicate and include them in the process of your evolution journey, right? And this is not something that you want to force upon them, but this is where communication and comprehension plays a huge place in marriages. A lot of people feel like they know how to communicate well, but some of them are really flunking at comprehension. And comprehension means understanding. Your ability to actually, she said, I'll cash app you. But your ability to really understand what is being communicated. All right. So that's the next level of effective communication, is really truly comprehension. Okay. Now, here's the other thing that I want to talk about. Bring it back to my remembrance, Holy Spirit, because there's something else I was going to say, but I can't remember it now, but he'll bring it back. A lot of you don't realize that you took the I out of unity and ran with it. Yeah, buddy. You took the I out of unity and ran with it because it's so easy to happen. When you really start finding out who you are, man, you get a whole new level of confidence, right? You authentic, you get a new level of confidence. And when he tries to say something to you, who you think you're talking to, bro? I'm a whole grown woman. Because what you're not going to do is, right? But you take the I out of unity and you run with it. Your evolution, your growth, your success does not mean that you should become a one woman, one man show. It does not mean that now that you got a little change in your bank account, You got a little something stashed away for a rainy day, that you should start running around here acting like you're single again, while you still have this person's, um, while you all are still one, while you're married. But it is so easy to happen, to get to that place, because you have a different kind of boldness when you identify, when you come into your full authentic self. There's a different level of boldness, there's a different level of confidence, right? And so whereas in times past you may have allowed them to get away with certain things, your authentic self is going to be like, let me tell you something, player. We're not about to do this. You're not about to do this. Okay. Right? But here's the thing, there is a way to do everything. My grandmother used to always say there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I used to be like, well, Granny, why are you skinning cats? First of all, let's talk about that. Okay. I try to figure out, do you go out and catch the cats? I mean, what's really going on? But she truly was just saying there's more than one way to get a job done. There's more than one way to get the desired outcome, right? And so you have to remember that although although you are an individual, you are still one with your spouse. And that means that you don't go changing the changing the whole life plan just because you have gotten this um moment of inspiration and empowerment, right? You don't go change the whole game plan. You still need to find a way to ask God, how can we now navigate to still get to the same destination, although parts of us has grown and has evolved. And here's another thing that I want to say is, a lot of times when you get into business, you forget about the marriage, right? One of the best things I believe that a couple can do is to always be friends first, because friends, there are certain things you just don't do to your friends. There's a level of loyalty, there's a level of intimacy, there's a level of communication, there's a level of respect. There are certain things you just don't do to your friends. And then also remember that your marriage is a part of the foundation in which you stand on. So when that thing is rocky and it's not solid, you may be soaring right now, but it can instantly become a sinking ship. So although you're growing and going and evolving and achieving, accomplishing, success at a rapid rate, remember to take care of the foundation first. This comes with communication. And I'm going to say this because I can hear somebody saying now, well, what if they don't want to get on board? Let me say this. You still have something that you are going to be held accountable for. Sometimes people, and here's one thing my husband said to me one time, and I've used this analogy in many different ways, but he said, people don't jump on a train unless it's moving, right? And sometimes the reason you have to go first in accomplishing what God has said is because you have enough faith in God to see it through. But once you continue to go forward and they see it happening, it will make a believer out of them too. Sometimes you have to get on the train and start moving so that they can see the benefit in what you're building. But this also means that you have to be able to communicate and evolve them in the evolution process. Because if you just come, it's just like, you come home, excuse me, and you just pull up to the house with a brand new car and you haven't talked to your spouse about it. What you're doing is going to directly impact the household. So communicating those things is vitally important. Because you can't just pop up to the house with a new $50,000 car that's going to cost us, however much money a month, and then expect for me to just jump on board. All right. And then you have to understand this. And again, Y'all, this is not a men bashing session or anything. I'm trying to help some of you women get an understanding of some things. Women are called to give birth. Men are called to plant the seeds. Sometimes, even when we as women are carrying the baby, we can already envision ourselves holding the baby. We know we're feeling every kick, every move, all of those things. The husband doesn't get that experience. But once the baby comes into the world, he gets to lay eyes on it and behold what he has helped to create. And so when you're building this, you have to have that same mentality, understanding that he may not see, and this is for men too. I'm just using this analogy as a pregnant woman, but they may not even be able to see it yet because the seed has been planted at this point. But when you give birth, then their eyes can behold everything that you were doing and why you were doing it, right? But I want to also share this. You can have it all without risking it all. You don't have to sacrifice your spouse for success. You don't have to sacrifice yourself for success. There's only one ultimate sacrifice. We don't have to sacrifice ourselves because there was only one person that did it. And that was who? Somebody put in the comments. I'm saying how many of y'all love the Lord. Joel said, you prophesy that God will open doors for me to preach, and it began to happen. Thank you for letting God use you. You are so welcome. Amen. To God be the glory. Tanisha says, I've been talking to my husband about this like 5 months ago. I'm changing my dream girl voice. Not dream girls. Charles says, I see many people equate their business to their purpose and not their marriage. That's good. That's good. Ayana says, when you worked hard to elevate who you are and work to activate your authentic self, you want to protect it at all costs. That's for me. Yes. But here's what happens. You can want to protect yourself so much that you put up walls of prevention for intimacy in your marriage. Because what fear is saying, and this is how you know you're not operating in love, because fear is saying, I can't afford to lose this. I can't afford to lose me. And I used to say things like that, right? But fear will have you operating in a place where there can't even be any intimacy. There can't be any trust rebuilt. There literally will become a brick wall that you have put up out of fear that you're going to lose yourself again. But if you truly found yourself, you can never be lost. Can never be lost. Women are called to give birth. Men are called to plant the seed. Absolutely. They plant the seed. We give birth, right? And a lot of times we don't even give credit to them for planting the seeds because we have been we feel like we put in more work to make this thing come to pass. We don't even give them credit to plant the seeds, right? So like, for example, my husband, when I first started in business, my very first business investment, my husband paid $1,000. He paid that. You know what I'm saying? So he planted that seed way back then. Although he's not as hands-on now because I'm able to pay other people to do, a lot of the things that he was doing. But he planted the first seed into my business growth and my business expansion. He literally said, if that's what you want, do it. Go for it. So I still have to remember who planted that seed. I have to remember that. Who planted the seed? And it was him. When no one else believed in me, when no one else knew my name, he was the one that was encouraging me to go for it. Right? And so I still remember that. Now, again, as you are going on this journey, you have to remember that it's easy to kind of lose sight, right? And he may not have invested in you financially, but his seeds of prayer are just as powerful and just as potent. When you were crying because you thought that you couldn't do this, that you weren't going to be able to make it, and he told you, yes, you can. That seed of encouragement that he may have given you, right? So these are the types of things that we have to have to be mindful of, and that we have to remember. Sometimes you just have to remember. Now, I know that everyone's situation is different. I'm not saying that this is a one size fit all. What I'm saying is that I hope that you can find and pull out the wisdom, some wisdom that has been provided for you today, for you to be able to navigate through success when it has caused strife with your spouse. Okay. Now, any questions? Any questions, comments, feedback? Let me hear from you. You have answer. You say you definitely gain wisdom and answers. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Anyone else? Any feedback? Y'all don't want to talk to me today? What's going on? Ayana says this was good. Definitely convicting, forcing me to reconcile a few things. Ellen says this helped me. Charles said, how do you make amends? How do you make amends? I always say this. Number one, you got to acknowledge, right? You got to acknowledge that there was error. Number two, you have to accept responsibility for where you may have erred, right? And then number three, you have to put in action. That action means sitting down, having a real conversation, communicating, being honest without offense. This is the big one. Being able to be honest and receive honesty without offense. Because honesty is the open door for healing. Do y'all understand that? Put that in the comments. Honesty is the open door for healing. And a lot of times the reason why you're finding yourself in that place is because, as I was saying earlier, you do enough to keep the peace, but you're not being truthful about what you're really feeling, what you're thinking, what's going on, and then there's a lot of assumption, you know. And here's another big one that I want y'all to take with you. Yes, honesty is the open door for healing, right? You cannot expect to heal when you're holding on to a lie. But this is what I want you all to take with you, right? Your spouse is going to keep growing and evolving if they so choose to, as we all should. We should not be the same person that we were 10 years ago. If you are, that's a problem, right? What you do not want to do, and this is where I see a lot of strife happen when the success happens, is because you're still trying to hold them hostage to who they were instead of learning to love who they are becoming. I'm going to say it again. You're still trying to hold them hostage to who they were instead of learning to love who they are becoming. Because here's the thing. If you believe that God put this marriage together, right? Do you think that God would want you to not have the best version of that person that you marry? Everything that God gives us, it gets greater as time goes on. As long as we love it and nurture it, it gets greater as we go on, right? So if you see that your spouse is changing for the better, here's the thing. Not when I say changing for the better, I want you to understand that we're not talking about if they're going and doing toxic behaviors or things that are detrimental to themselves or, the marriage. But if they are changing for the better and they are finding happiness in ways that they haven't before, and it does not take them out of alignment, out of their morality, or, you know, who they are supposed to be in God, then you need to ask God to help you learn to love who they are becoming. The worst thing you can do is try to hold your spouse hostage to who they were when you met them. Because what's more than likely happening is that they are evolving and getting better, but you're not. Because if both of you are doing the work to change and to grow, then you'll begin to see and value who each other are becoming. But if someone is stuck in a place and they're not willing to grow and to change and to evolve, then that causes a shift. It causes a rift. Things start to go a little haywire. But don't try to hold them hostage to who they were when you married them, because they literally shouldn't be that person. There should be a better version of who you married. It should be a better version of who you married. So you have to ask yourself, you know, am I growing? Am I evolving? Am I becoming better as time goes on? Because if they are and you're not, then that's definitely going to cause a problem. Yeah, most definitely. And to be completely honest, when you start to heal, you do look better. When you start to heal from things, you don't look the same. You don't look the same. You don't sound the same. You're not going to always enjoy the same things, because some things served you well when you were broken, but they no longer serve you once you become healed and whole. So what do you do if they are stubborn and won't move? Here's one thing that I'll tell you. Ask God, what is he trying to change in you? What is he trying to teach you? Because the thing is, we cannot change our spouse. We can't change our spouse. We can't cause them to move. We can't make them move. We can't make them want to change. None of that. So when they're not changing, then the question should be, God, what are you trying to change within me? What are you trying to change within me? Because I know for a fact my patience was this short. I don't even think it was this short. I think my patience was this short. Like, I didn't even have a whole snap. My patience was like, and my cutoff game was real quick. Like, baby, it'll be like a vapor, vanish. Like, I never knew you. Like, that's how quick I could cut you off and dismiss you from my life, and you never existed. Like, I could literally cut you off, walk by you in the store the next day, like you were a complete stranger. I didn't have that kind of patience. I didn't even know. I was just like, I didn't think I was going to get married. Really. I had a patience span. Like, there was like a time limit. Like, I just did, yeah, it was not me. I didn't have it. They were like, oh, you cutting up? Oh, okay. Yeah. I was from the, listen, cut them loose and hang them dry. May the Lord watch between me and thee until we meet again. I was there. But marriage literally was what God used to first show me, excuse me, what unconditional love meant. It's not just about lip service. And he taught me what patience really looks like. And the process. And I think that if we really truly look at marriage and we look at kind of like the ups and downs that we go through in marriage teaches us so much. Like, marriage has taught me stamina. I have learned marketing strategies from marriage. I have learned perseverance. I have learned so much about myself. I posted a status that went viral. It was like probably like over 3,000 shares. And I excuse me, that was back then. I don't know what the shares are now, but I posted the status and I said motherhood and marriage um are beautiful. I said motherhood and marriage will mature you, but first it will expose your flaws. That was something along the lines. And that's the reality. When you really commit to marriage and you commit to motherhood, you're going to mature yourself if you commit to it. But it's going to expose every flaw that you ever had, because marriage is intimacy. Your spouse is going to see um, parts of you that no one else has seen. And they'll see weaknesses, and your weaknesses will be exposed because you can't hide from them. You can't run away from them. You know, like if you had a boyfriend, you could probably put your boyfriend out, or you can go stay somewhere. But you married, now y'all got to sit there and figure it out. You know, you got to sit there and figure it out. You know, marriage is just one of those things. Like they're the finest thing and the best thing ever one day, and the next day you're like, "Ooh, I don't like this ugly self." And then he may cook you something to eat, and you're like, "I love him so much." Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just me. I'm like, "Oh, I don't like him," and then he'll say, "You want some snacks from the store?" I'm like, "Yeah, what you want?" Sour cream and onion chips. Oh, Jesus. But if you've never had one of those moments, you probably haven't been married long enough. Listen, I posted another quote that went viral, and I said, marry someone who will buy your favorite snacks, take out your tracks, and love your back fat. I was like, I'm a winner. He's a winner. He's a winner. Listen, right. She said he'd be like, he want to go get ice cream. I'm telling you, listen, be mad. I'm talking about just mad. Don't touch me. Don't say nothing to me. You hungry? Yeah. You want some seafood? Yeah. Listen, if he buys me seafood, now when he makes me really mad, let me tell y'all what he does. He picks my favorite meal. He's gonna go make fried chicken, collard greens, yams, cornbread. He's gonna make sure I have my lemonade, and he's gonna make me a caramel cake. That's when he's messed up real bad. He made me real mad where I don't want to talk to him for real. Like, no. And listen. So he'll cook that meal, and then I'll like rethink my life, my whole life. I'm like, I really like it's not that big of a deal. Like we can get past it when I finish eating this meal. Okay. Oh my goodness. Seriously, y'all. He knows exactly what to do. But thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Go back and watch the replay of this broadcast. I'm probably going to leave this one up. I deleted my other one from the other day. I deleted 2 of them. But I'm probably going to leave this one up. Share it with your friends. Let them tune in and get their whole life right. And if you haven't signed up for the book launch on February 26th, is that the right date? Yes. February 26th, my book launch, you get our beautiful you'll get our beautiful box for free. I've been autographing books, so that's why these are in here. But you'll get our box, which has some other goodies inside along with the book for free. The box is valued over The box alone is valued over $150. You're welcome. And so if you register, of course, you'll get it for free. You're going to get some good food. We're going to have fun. I just hired our entertainment. We have a comedian. You guys have seen him. He's America's Dad. DJ Pryor. He went viral with the conversation of he and his son. He and his son were having a conversation on the couch. He's been on Steve Harvey, I think Good Morning America, went all over, went viral. So he's actually a comedian, and he's going to be our entertainment for the book launch. And we're going to have a chef. It's going to be catered. Yeah, because we're going to eat good. Y'all can see food is my heart. Stepped on that scale today, though, and I need y'all to pray because the Lord is not pleased with this extra 20 pounds. No wonder my back been hurt. I'm dragging around all this weight, okay? My back is like, what you doing? What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? I got to get off here. Y'all making me act up today. But yeah, just go to my website, shamikadean.com. You may have already missed the early bird registration, but you can still get in. But we're going to have a good time. All right, y'all. I love y'all immensely and intensely. Again, thank you so much. And I'll talk to y'all again soon. All right.